Hi everyone, I'm GREYMOND. Today I'm answering questions about OCD recovery. These are the questions that you asked under my videos, so let's get started. First question is, many specialists speak that OCD is chronic and they define recovery different than you do. Many things they say correspond with what you say, but most of them define recovery a little bit differently. Okay, so anybody can say anything. I talk to people 7 days a week, and my program is intense. And anybody who's been in my program can tell you it's not an easy program to go through, because we aggressively attack OCD. It's not one of those things where we just talk about the person's life and all of this kind of stuff. It's continuous exposures, continuously pushing until there's no more to push and the person is over it, So it is an aggressive approach, and I think that's why it works. A lot of the times when a person goes to a specialist, there's not many exposures that they do, and because they don't do that many exposures and just talking, it doesn't really work, it doesn't really help. So then the specialist then concludes that, well, it must mean that it's chronic and it must mean that you can't really recover from this, but they're just doing it wrong. Then you're asking me and I'm giving you my opinion on it. Because like I said, I talk to people every single day, for years and years now. So, I would say, in terms of defining recovery, a good way to put it would be, how do you define your recovery? What are you going to do for your recovery? If you're going to push hard, then you can get through it. You can overcome this. But if you're going to do nothing, then the result will be nothing. So it really depends. I can tell you, doesn't matter what the person's OCD topic is. Doesn't matter even for how many years they've had OCD. All that matters is how much of a desire they have to recover. A lot of the times people come to me that they're in a situation where, in this amount of time, they absolutely have to recover. Because of some sort of a life circumstance. And those people push really hard. They'll do every exposure. They don't have any excuses, and they recover so much faster than, a person who can have a little more leeway and, doesn't have to do it, but can do it. So it's the harder you push yourself in the recovery, the faster you will recover. Next question is, how do you keep track with clients who have recovered fully? I would say that really my door is always open. So I do have everybody still in my Skype lists, or my, because I talk to clients through Skype or FaceTime or WhatsApp. So I have everybody in my list. From time to time, I do message them, asking them how they're doing, and my door is always open. So a lot of the times people come back to me and say, you know what, I'm doing really good, or I have a question, and just from that, it's pretty, how it is with OCD. It's pretty easy to tell who is doing how in terms of recovery. Next question is, can doing reassurance of oneself affect recovery? Like telling yourself, this isn't you, I will never do this, and so on. Yes, self-reassurance is, for, I would say, most people, the main problem and the main reason why they haven't recovered. Because they're ruminating, analyzing, trying to figure it out, and that just, because when you're doing that, you're basically sending a fear signal continuously to the brain. So you're saying that this thing is very important. This type of signal is very valid to me. Please send me more to protect me. That's how the brain understands your fear of it, because it protects you from stuff that's important to you and that you are in fear of. And that is exactly what you're saying when you're ruminating. I'm in fear. I'm trying to figure it out. Help me figure it out, brain. So the brain tries to tell you this in all of its, kind of ways, right? Maybe it's like this, maybe it's like that. Well, what about that? Well, what about, and just goes on endlessly, right? So you have to live parallel to these thoughts. If, say, you're walking down the street and some person comes up to you and starts saying, nonsense to you, are you going to listen to them and really believe every word they're saying? Or are you just going to be like, whatever, I don't care, and just keep walking? That's what you have to do. You just have to keep walking, not believing into it, choosing not to believe into it. Because the one thing with OCD is it always feels real. So yes, it will feel real. It will feel like you have to solve it, but it's a trap. You can't allow yourself to do that. And you know already from your own experience that you have been allowing yourself to do that over a long period of time. That's not working. You're watching this video, so obviously you're still having the problem. So let's do something different, and you will see that at first, OCD gets harder. And the reason why that happens is because your mind tries to send you more thoughts in order to get you back into reaction. So you have to be prepared for that. But after that, as your mind starts learning this new way of dealing with the thoughts, it gets easier. So it's just a process of recovery. And I think I have videos on the process of recovery if you're interested in more information about that. Next question is PRO more difficult to recover from? No, I don't find so. I find that, again, it's the motivation, how much that specific person wants to recover. I used to think so, but I don't think it really is. I think it just really depends on how much the person is pushing, because I see people recover from PRO a lot faster, and I see, in some cases, and I see people recover from physical compulsions faster in other cases. So I don't find the correlation really. You would think, before kind of getting into it and talking to many people, because I had more of a PRO, so it seemed to me that it was more difficult to recover from as well. But no, it really isn't. It doesn't matter. How long does it take you to recover from PRO, and have your clients recovered from harm PRO? Of course, the harm PRO is a very common type of OCD. In terms of recovery, it's impossible for me to tell you how long it's going to take you specifically or any person specifically. It really depends on the situation. I would say 6 months is a ballpark figure. It depends, because if a person is so scared, they're taking one step forward, one step back, one step forward, one step back, just to get them to understand the mechanism of OCD and how it works, so they're a little more confident to take what feels to them like a little more of a risk to refuse giving a thought attention, sometimes takes a long time. But if the person really chooses to recover and takes that kind of leap of faith, as I say, even though they don't feel confident in it, and really starts to disregard, so two people in the exact same situation would have completely different recovery times based on what they're doing. So it's hard to say. It really depends on how much you push. Take a look at it this way. You have today, right? From now until you go to bed. All that time, you can either be doing exposures, getting yourself better, or making yourself worse by doing reassurance. And that really is where your recovery is. If, 80% of the time you're doing the correct thing, disregarding, you're going to fly through it in a few months. If you're doing one step forward, one step back, until you stop doing that, you're going to just continue to confuse your brain further, because you're saying to it, yes, it's important. No, it isn't. Yes, it's important. No, it isn't. You can't, you have to be very strict with yourself and very focused on the end goal of full recovery. Next question is, hi Ali, thank you for all your help. I was wondering, can body sensation trigger intrusive thoughts? I have a medical condition that causes some body sensations, and as a result, I get intrusive thoughts about suicide, harming others when it happens. Yeah, because I find that's actually very common, and because it is your brain. So your brain controls not only your thoughts but your body as well, right? So I find that there are all kinds of bodily sensations can happen. So you just have to attribute it as one of the OCD symptoms. Who cares? Pushing through, disregarding. Not taking it differently than having a thought or having an image pop into your mind or having a feeling pop into your mind. It's all part of the same thing. It's very, very common. Don't take it personally or seriously. Next question, it's choosing not to take it personally or seriously. You will feel like you have to, but you have to choose not to. Next question is, I suffer from periods of high anxiety and intense OCD symptoms. I'm working on acceptance as you teach, but I'm not sure why it keeps coming back. So, okay, in terms of acceptance, we have to be very clear I'm not sure if you're saying the right thing here. What you want to do is you want to accept the OCD thought as being there, because a lot of the times people online, again, teach about accepting the OCD thought itself, and that's not right. So you're accepting the OCD as being there. You have OCD, but you're not accepting the content of the thoughts. So you're just saying, yeah, I have OCD, this is my thought, I don't care, like that, right? And try to have that kind of sarcastic tone to yourself as well, from a position of power. That tone, that's from a position of power. If you start to get scared, that's not good, because then you're kind of now powering it up. But you're not, so just very clear that acceptance, meaning that you're accepting the condition of OCD and not the thought. If you're not doing that, then maybe that's why it keeps coming back. Most likely it's probably because as you start to fight against it, your mind really is trying to pull you back in, and maybe that's the stage that you're at. Maybe write me a more detailed question for next week, and I will kind of reply more in terms of your specific situation. Next question is, my OCD is in excessive doubting about women. What if I get married, my wife cheats on me? Okay, so the more you allow yourself to doubt this, the worse these thoughts are going to get. So you're stepping over the fear. When you step over the fear, it doesn't mean that the fear is going to go away. You're choosing not to react to it. You're choosing to be parallel to it. And then you just keep going forward. You're not engaging the thoughts. The more you engage, the more this is going to get. So you're saying, the person saying that I did the mistake, which is arguing and engaging these thoughts, and it expands so much. Yes, it expands right away. So you've done that, like engaging and arguing with the thoughts. Now you're choosing not to. So you've learned from that experience, and as much as possible, refuse. These setbacks do happen, but you have to be focused that they happen less and less. After I read a lot about OCD and how important to not analyze the thoughts, just ignore it and refocus on what I'm doing, it decreased. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As long as you stop feeding it power, it decreases. But when I do exposure to women and talk to them normally without judgment and prevent rituals, argue my feelings numb because of huge fear appears. The fear will appear. So talking to a woman in your situation would be exposure, and preventing the response of fear. The automatic fear comes in. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just because before you've reacted so much. But when the fear comes in, the automatic fear, how are you responding with more fear? So it's fear upon fear, or is it fear comes in? Doesn't matter, still the same thought, I'm not dealing with it, right? That should be the correct response. That's all the questions I have for this video. I will answer more. I actually have a lot, so I think it's gonna span over probably about 4 videos. So if you haven't heard your question in this video, it's most likely gonna be in any of the other ones. If I did miss some videos of some questions, please or if you have more questions, please leave it below this video or any other video, and I will answer it next week. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to start the recovery program with me, the information, sign up, my hours, what I have available, all is on youhaveocd.com. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.